Now we go to the second question, and there wouldn't be a candidates forum in today's climate without a question on the budget. So here it comes. The budget reflects the priorities of an institution. Please discuss how the priorities of Santa Barbara City College are expressed in the current budget. You may comment on the current budget and also discuss how you go about or would go about setting priorities for the budget. Lisa, we'll start at this end.
Here we go again. Now I'm going to have to fiddle between glasses. I can't use these to see up close. Let me just comment on one thing. At the September 23rd meeting of the board, one of the board of trustees, okay, this doesn't work. I can't see you. One of the board of trustees members wanted to delay an equipment transfer of $3.7 million. And she said in part she wanted to delay that decision making on the budget. Pass the rest of the budget, but just hold off on that one little piece because she felt she didn't have enough information. And indeed, I don't see that she was presented enough information. And in addition, she expressed the concern that a faculty member at that meeting had come up to her and told her that the students were not getting the classes they need to transfer out of City College. So given the fact that she didn't have the information she needed, she felt, and that she had new important information, she wanted to delay on this one little portion. She couldn't get a second from the other 6 members of the board. So that to me speaks volumes about setting priorities in terms of the budget. Where I would have a question this year, I have 2 questions. One, in the interest of transparency, I'm still looking for the $9 to $11 million in cuts to the state budget that a couple of these board members have said have happened, and I'm just asking where it is because I can't find it going straight to the accounting documents I have from the office. So I would still like that question answered. And then also under other operating expenses, there's $1.5 million over in the budget for this coming year that we're in right now. $1.5 million over what was actually spent last year. And in supplies and materials, it's $600,000 over what was actually spent this year. This is in the unrestricted fund. I don't see an explanation in there, and I'm wondering if the board got full detail before making that decision to approve this budget. Thanks.
The question has to do with how we see the priorities of the college identified in the budget. The mission statement of the college is on page 14 of the catalog. It's a wonderfully crafted statement, and it will tell you what we're supposed to do with the resources that are given to us by the state of California, by the federal government, and by local agencies. One of my concerns has to do with how the numbers get into those peculiar little columns. We have a reserve of $23 million, and many would argue that's an appropriate number, but I just don't know how we arrived at that number. So one of the things that I would like us to do is develop a rationale that would explain to the general public as well as to me why such a huge number, $23 million. In addition, there are other funds that seem also to be contributing to this reserve, so that the reserve number itself vacillates between $23 and $30 million. At some point, you have enough. I mean, it's been stated that we have the most fiscally sound college in the entire system. I agree, but that's not enough. We don't have the money in order to keep it. We have the money in order to spend it appropriately with an appropriate amount of reserve. The question then becomes, how do we get at that appropriate nature? What is it? How is it made? How is it discussed? How is it brought to the floor?
I'd like to respond to a couple of things Lisa said the last 2 times. We don't always have a chance to make responses. The board meets twice a month. One is what we call a study session. We work over things, we spend more time, I can tell you, we spend more time on the budget than anything we spend in all year. And so we're well aware of what's going on in the budget. These figures, now, it would help Lisa if she would come to one of our meetings and also come to our Finance Committee meeting and also talk to our Vice President of Business Services for all these issues. She has not done that. She has not been to one of our board meetings and not been to any of the Finance Committee meetings. As far as the Educational Policies Committee meeting, we haven't met for 2 or 3 months because we carry all this stuff into our study sessions. Now we have 7 members. When you have a committee meeting, you can only have 3 members. And so that's why we don't have meetings as every month. They've never been scheduled for every 3 months. You can shake your head, but that's true. Is it the truth? It is the truth. One other thing is that the reserves and things like that. The reserves have been set aside to keep us out of conditions like what we're in now. If you want to know specifics, you can find out easily. I mean, easily. Anyone in this community, when we spoke once before, it's on the website. Go to the website, sbcc.edu. And so you can find everything that you want on the website, if you're interested. I don't know how many people are interested in budget. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And we spend a lot of time on budget. We feel that we're well prepared when we go into the budget session. Now, Dr. Alexander, she wanted to delay it. We told her it doesn't make any difference. Every year we come back to the budget. We don't live with that amount that we put in. We have to make modifications, depending on what the state sends us. So I think that we have open access to the community for this, and thank you very much.
Marty, before you begin, I just wanted to remind everyone that the organizers of the forum wanted to ensure a participatory forum, and so there'll be plenty of time for more questions than we anticipated. So if you want to ask a question, now would be the time to fill out a card if you haven't already done so, and pass it to the end, because during the rebuttal period, they'll be reviewing the questions and making the selections. I'm sorry.
Well, you asked about how does the budget show our priorities, and it should show your priorities. It should show which departments, what is it that you are working hard to make sure happens. A lot of it is left to the local place. I thought that most of what was happening would be from the Chancellor's office, because at first that was the answer that was given to me. Oh no, you can't spend money there because the Chancellor says this, or oh no, you can't do this because the Chancellor doesn't allow you to do that. But coming to find out, it's not the Chancellor. The Chancellor leaves a lot to local discretion because these are community colleges. It's the community that can make these decisions. As far as the 10% in continuing education, it's the community that should be deciding that too. And frankly, I don't know, I couldn't find anything in the minutes, and I did read them all through for the last little over a year. I couldn't see where it said parent-child workshops are not a community priority. In fact, I would hope that if they didn't make that vote, that many of us would have been horrified. I know we would have in this community. And then on the 90% side, I couldn't find anywhere where the priority says we're no longer a priority to have anything going on in sustainability. So the new classes that are being proposed in sustainability, we're just going to quash those because it's no longer a priority. We'll take money out of the sustainability program. Well, that's what happened. And this board is not, they're not doing the direction that we need to do. And frankly, we should be able to see it reflected in the budget, and I don't see that either. So I would hope that this board would be, if I'm on it, would have more oversight. Thank you.
I hope we get questions from the audience on both the parent-child workshops and sustainability, because I have fairly involved answers that I think you need to hear. Now, with respect to the budget, I marvel that nobody seems to, except for Dr. Dobbs, understand the budget process. It doesn't come out of thin air. We're working on next year's budget before we've even approved this year's budget. All the departments, every spending center is asked, what are your needs? How do you prioritize? At the same time, we are estimating revenue from the state, from the foundation, from grants. We're trying to integrate all that information. That goes through 3 or 4 iterations before it reaches the finance committee, the fiscal committee. The process is constantly ongoing. We have, beginning in January, a proposed budget. Then, after the governor announces his revises in May, it's a tentative budget. Then we have to pass a final budget by October 15, which we have done. But after those budgets are passed, we're constantly coming back and tweaking them to adjust to changing needs. No budget is set in stone. We have to have the ability to vary it to address concerns that come up. The budget process is open to all, and the departments concerned with it take part in shared governance. It's their input upon which half the budget is based, that is the expenditures. The revenue, we mostly can't control, unfortunately. We're dependent on the state, and this year the state has let us down badly. So I hope you will consider the budget process as a prime example of open and shared governance.
Budget priorities. Well, if you look at the budget on the website, as Joe has described, you will see just a summary document. You will not see the budget. You will see a summary, and that's what the board apparently sees. And what you will notice immediately is that the numbers for teachers' salaries are going down, and everything else is going up. So the priority here is less classes, and everything else is going up. Now that's not the way I look at it, because I look at this as an educational institution in the first order, that is the first priority. To return to what Joe said about attending the meetings, I've been to those meetings. I've been to fiscal subcommittee, I have been to the budget meetings, I've been to the board meetings. It's not happening. They're not asking the questions that need to be asked. How much do we save by cutting those classes? How much do we save by cutting student services? $29,000 for counseling for students. On the other hand, in that transfer that Lisa was talking about, there's $29,000 to fix a bell tower clocks that haven't agreed on the time for years. Just turn them off. We don't need them anymore.
Yeah.
Put it into student counseling, put it into tutors. These are the questions we need to be talking about, and it's not happening in College Planning Council either. They're not being asked to compare between choices, between classes, between student counseling, between services for disabled students, between tutoring. They're just not being asked to make those choices. And the choices of equipment, the choices of construction, all of those things need to be compared to each other, and then you make the hard choices. It's not happening.
Okay, now okay, very last chance to write a question and pass it to the end. If you have one and you haven't handed it in, raise your hand. Barbara or someone else will pick it up.